So magandang araw po sa ating lahat, no? So again, welcome to our subject, Readings in Philippine History. So before I start, I would like to present first again myself. So I am Mr. Froilan Dave Sigobia Rosete, your instructor here in the subject Readings in Philippine History. So ano ba yung mga learning objectives natin ngayon na dapat ninyong ma-achieve, no? After this lesson. So you have to first understand the meaning of history, no? Apply knowledge in historical methodology and philosophy. Third is examine and assess critically the value of historical evidences and sources. And lastly, you have to appreciate the importance of history in the social and national life of the Philippines. Okay, so alam ko sa inyong iba sa inyo ay na-take na yung subject na history from your high school, no? If I'm not mistaken. So let us define first what is history. So history has always been known as the study of the past. So ito po ay ang pag-aaral sa nakaraan. So halos lahat naman ay alam po 'yan. No? Some history subjects or instructors, they require students to memorize the dates, the places, the names, and events, no, from different situations or eras. Okay, so history is derived from the Greek word historia, no, which means knowledge acquired through inquiry or investigation. So uulitin ko, it is from the Greek word historia, which means knowledge acquired through inquiry or investigation, no? So ang history ay nag-exist pa noong 2,400 years ago, no? As old as mathematics and philosophy. So ibig sabihin, since simula nung na-discover ang mathematics at philosophy, kasabay nitong na-discover din yung history na tinatawag natin. So historia became known as the account of the past of a person or of a group of people through written documents and historical evidences. O ulitin ko, ang historia po or history, no, ay nakilala bilang pag-aaral sa mga written documents. So ibig sabihin, kung walang written documents or evidences, therefore what? There is no history. So, ang history ay isa sa pinakamahalagang disiplina sa panahon ngayon, no, in the academe. So, meron tayong tinatawag na mga historians. Sino ba yung mga historians? Sila yung mga taong nagsusulat patungkol sa history ng isang tao, isang grupo ng tao, no, etc. So, they write they write the lives of important peoples or individuals like monarchs, heroes, saints and nobilities, 'di ba? Katulad ng ating pabansang bayani si Dr. Jose Rizal. So paano natin, 'di ba, pinag-aaralan natin siya ngayon? Paano natin na pag-aaralan? Through the use of what? His history being written by historians po natin. So history was also focused on writing about wars, revolutions, and other important breakthroughs, no, or scenarios. So it is important to know or to ask, what counts as history? Ano ba yung mga tinatawag nating history? Or ano ba yung pwede nating i-considered as history? And then, katulad ng nabanggit ko kanina, ang mga traditional historian kasi, ang mantra nila is no document, no history. So kung walang naisulat na evidences, therefore there is no history on that specific topic, no? So dito pumapasok yung tinatawag nating historical sources, no? Like government records, no, chronicler's account or personal letters. So by this valid historical resources, nagkakaroon tayo ng additional na reference, no, na ang isang bagay or pangyayari ay naganap po talaga. Like for example, paano natin nasabi na ang mga dinosaurs ay nabuhay ng ilang taon? Mayroon pa ba nakapagsulat ng history patungkol sa kanila, no? It's only what? Yung kanilang fossil fuels, yung mga buto-buto, no, na nahukay na. Okay, so yung loopholes na yun ang nakita ng mga historians natin. So they used other resources or references which is not written, no, pero they are considered as valid references. So what are those? First, we have oral traditions, no? We have epics, songs, artifacts, architecture, and memory. So kung matatandaan ninyo, di ba yung mga lolo at lola ninyo, marami silang kwento patungkol sa buhay nila ng mga noong unang panahon. Di ba? So those memories, no, can be considered as official and valid reference. So ulitin ko, ang historia, no, it is a Greek word, no, for history, which means knowledge acquired, no, information acquired through inquiry. Inquiry means pagtatanong or investigation. Di ba? So maraming mga tao na pwedeng makatulong sa historians sa pag-discover ng history. So sino-sino ba sila? Pwedeng archaeologist, no? Yung pag-check ng mga artifacts natin, di ba? Marami tayong na-discover na artifacts na kung saan naging daan ito para makita yung history ng isang sibilisasyon. Next is linguist, no? Sa pag-aaral ng lengguwahe, nakikita natin yung history. And then we have our biologist and biochemist, no? Sila yung mga nag-check ng DNA if it is valid. Diba kasi mayroong mga artifacts na nahuhukay at sinasabi na ito ay nag-exist noong panahon nung 2,000 years ago, no? So paano naman natin ma-validate 'yon? Through checking of their DNA. Okay? So history has turned into a complex and dynamic inquiry. Okay? Complex and dynamic. So when we say dynamic, it produces different or various perspective on this specific discipline regarding different questions like what is history, no? Why do we have to study history? And history for whom? Para kanino? Bakit para sa ba itong ginagawa natin? No? Itong mga question na ito ay masasagot ng what? Historiography. Again, historiography. So what is the difference between history and historiography? So as I have said a while ago, history is the study of the past. Okay, so you must not be confused with it. If history is the study of the past, while historiography, no, is history itself. History is the study of the past. Historiography is the history itself. So bakit nating history itself? Ano ba yung mga nakapaloob dito? Okay, how was a certain historical text written? Paano siya isinulat? Sino nagsulat dito? Ano ang context ng publikasyon, or publication, no? Ano ang particular na historical method na ginamit sa pagsusulat nito? Ano ang mga sources na ginamit? So we have 6 questions, no? Again, ulitin ko. How was a certain historical text written? Who wrote it? What was the context of its publication? What particular historical method was employed? What were the sources used? So we have 5 lang pala, so not 6. We have 5 questions. So through historiography, mas naiintindihan po ng estudyante kung tungkol saan yung history, no? They not just get to learn historical facts, but they also provided with the understanding, no, of the facts and the historian's context. Okay, so what again is history? It is the study of the past, and historiography, it is the history itself. When we say history itself, sino ang nagsulat, ano ang strategy yung ginamit sa pagsusulat, no, and so on and so forth. Okay? So ang history ay merong mahalagang role na ginagampanan, no? Sa panahon din natin ngayon, 'di ba, napakahalaga ng history. Paano natin na malalaman lahat, actually lahat, no? Lahat ng nangyayari ngayon pagdating ng panahon ay part na ng history. No, yung pagiging pangulo ni Duterte, pagiging pangulo ni Cory, yung EDSA Revolution, 'di ba? Naging part na siya ng history natin. The same with this current situation natin, yung itong COVID-19. So definitely it will be a part of our history. Okay? So ang history merong kumbaga, kung ang isang pangyayari ay naging part na ng history, therefore there is a lesson at the end. Parang kwento 'yan, no? Parang kwento 'yan na pag nangyari ang isang bagay, at the end merong lesson. merong moral lesson dapat na tinatawag. So from the previous years, history is being used for what? Uniting a nation, di ba? Meron kasi mga, di ba sa history natin, meron mga bansa na naglalaban-laban, no? Nagsasakop mga yung mga pananakop na nagaganap, di ba? O sa ito ay naging daan upang ang isang bansa ay magkaroon ng unity. Like for example sa Philippines, di ba? Tayo ay sinakop ng iba't ibang klaseng mga foreigner, mga banyaga. Pero dahil doon nagkaroon tayo ng pagkakaisa, no? Nagkakaroon tayo ng sense of collective memory, no? So lessons from the past can be used to make sense of the present. Ginagamit natin ang past para tayo bilang isang tao or bilang isang Pilipino ay magkaroon ng disiplina sa sarili, no? Nagiging lesson ito sa atin. Kung ano yung naranasan na natin noon, syempre, hindi na natin uulitin kasi naranasan na natin. This with this our current situation, di ba? Katulad sa pandemic natin ngayon. So, na-experience na natin siya. Therefore, kung ano man yung kung halimbawa mangyayari man ito ulit, alam na natin kung ano yung mga dapat at hindi dapat natin gawin. So, history plays an important role in the life of people. Okay? Okay, so dito pumapasok yung sinasabi natin positivism. So, yung positivism na yan, it was actually emerged between the 18th and 19th century. So, the thought requires empirical and observable evidence before one can claim that a particular knowledge is true. So, when we say positivism, kinakailangan dito ng evidence, no? If that specific topic is true, so kailangan ng ebidensya. And then we have postcolonialism. So it was actually emerged in the early 20th century when formerly colonized nations grappled with the idea of creating their identities and understanding their societies against the shadows of their colonial past. So through colonialism, nagkaroon ng identity yung isang bansa. So that is what we call postcolonialism. Ginagamit nila ito para makilala sila sa buong mundo. No? So, parang Pilipinas, 'di ba? Tayo ay sinakop ng ibang mga banyaga. So, we created our own identity. So, through that, no, nakilala tayo sa buong mundo. Ang history is being used as narrative, no? Ito ay tinuturo at isinusulat which is intended for certain audiences or certain group of audiences. Like for example, yung mga ilustrados katulad ni Jose Rizal, no? Jose Rizal, Isabelo de los Reyes, Pedro Paterno, no? So gumawa sila ng history, sumulat sila during their time. They intended it for the Spaniards so that they would realize that Filipinos are people of their own intellect and culture. Gumawa sila ng isang kasulatan or isang sulat, no, or teksto na kung saan nagpapakita na ang Pilipino or ang Pilipinas ay para sa mga Pilipino. So ibig sabihin nito, ang history ay merong purpose, no? Meron siyang intended audience. Meron siyang katulad ng meron siyang audience, meron siyang intended audience. Merong purpose yung ginawa na 'yon. And then we have history and historians. So meron tayong mga problema na na-encounter ng historians natin. Una is yung subjectivity or objectivity ng isang historyng isinulat. Kasi di ba halimbawa sa ang history ng Pilipinas, kung ito ay isinulat ng isang banyaga, sa tingin mo yung point of view kanino nakapabor? Sa Pilipino ba o doon sa lahi nila? Di ba halimbawa ang history ng Pilipinas isinulat ng mga taga-Japan. Tingin mo lahat ng magagandang katangian ng Pilipino is mailalagay ba or palaging nasa point of view ng mga Japanese yung history na yun? 'Di ba? So, mayroong possibility na ang history ay ma-manipulate. Depende 'yon kung sino ang nagsusulat ng history na 'yon. So, sa mga historians natin, they must be what? They must not be biased. So, they must be subjective dapat. Or objective rather. Okay. So, therefore, it is the historian's job not just to seek historical evidences, but also to interpret these facts. So, facts cannot speak for themselves. So, ang mga facts na yan, ang historian ang nag-i-interpret. Okay? Again, facts cannot speak for themselves. So, it is the duty of the historians to give the meaning on these facts, no? And organize them into a timeline, no? Establish causes and write history. So, meron tayong tinatawag na historical methodology. It comprises the different techniques and rules that historians follow in order to properly utilize sources and historical evidences in writing history. Okay? Kung halimbawa mayroong mga conflicting situations or ideas, it is the role of the history to validate kung saan ba talaga ang totoo or hindi. Katulad ng nabanggit ko, no? Merong mga references or sources na they are not written but they are still considered as valid. Like for example, yung mga oral traditions natin, di ba? Yung mga artifacts, no? The same with the memory. Katulad nga ng ating mga kaluluan, no ba? Yung mga kwento nila, they are considered, yung kanilang memory ng buhay nila ng unang panahon are considered part of our history. Even our lives, yung buhay ninyo, yung buhay natin, that is considered part of history yung mga nakaraan natin. Okay? With the past as history subject matter, the historian's most important research tools are historical resources. Of course, paano ba makakagawa ng history ang isang historians kung wala siyang reference, no? Wala siyang references, wala siyang tools. So, these references are what? They are classified into two. So, we have the primary sources and secondary sources. So what is the difference between the two? So when we say primary sources, those sources are produced at the same time as the event, period, or subject being studied. No, halimbawa, gusto mong pag-aralan ang history ng EDSA Revolution. So when we are talking about the primary sources, kailangan ang gawin mong source ng information is what? Yung mismong item or text na nagawa noong mismong panahon na yon. Like for example, sa Commonwealth Constitution Convention noong 1935. No, ano ba yung pwede mong primary source na gamitin, no, o reference? Una is yung minutes of the convention or yung minutes of the meeting. 'Di ba? Kasi convention yon, it's a meeting. Ang primary resources niyan is yung minutes of meeting ng mismong araw na yon. No? Yung mga newspaper clippings, no, yung mga nilabas na balita during that time. No, Philippine Commission reports of the US Commission records, no, at saka yung draft ng constitution, even yung mga pictures ng panahon na yon. So yung pictures nung panahon, kung ang pinag-uusapan natin is EDSA Revolution, yung pictures nila nung mismong araw na yon, yung minutes of meeting, no, yung balita sa dyaryo, sa radyo or sa television, pwede mo siyang gamitin as what? Primary source or primary sources. So when we say secondary sources naman, we are talking about the yung kumbaga na-reproduce na yung reference na to. Like for example, gusto mong pag-uralan yung EDSA Revolution. Then ang secondary sources nito is yung textbook, like for example, yung history book, no? Kasi doon merong part kung saan ang EDSA sa Pilipinas ay naisulat, no? Pero that is considered secondary. Bakit? Textbook kasi siya. Yung textbook naman na yon ay hindi isinulat sa mismong araw kung kailan naganap yung EDSA Revolution. So nakakuha niyo yung kaibahan ng primary at saka secondary. Uulitin ko ha, when we say primary, ang evidences na ginagamit natin is yung mga evidences na ginawa mismo sa araw na iyon. When we say secondary, ang best example nito is yung mga textbooks, no? Na ginawa, ang textbook na ito ay ginawa base doon sa primary sources. So sana walang walang malilito. Okay? So we have different types of criticism. We have two. We have external criticism and internal criticism. So we are talking about the criticism of what? These resources, no? So when we say external criticism, it is verifying the authenticity of evidence by examining its physical characteristics, no? Consistency with the historical characteristic of the time when it was produced and the materials used for the evidences. That is external, labas, external criticism. Ang chine-check dito yung physical, no? Physical na kondisyon ng bagay. So, saan siya applicable? Ang external criticism is applicable for primary sources, 'di ba? Halimbawa, pag sinabing ito yung minutes of meeting during that time of EDSA Revolution. So you have to criticize first that thing. External criticism yon. Yung papel na ginamit, no? Tama ba? Yung quality ng paper, yung ink na ginamit, yung language, yung words. Halimbawa, sabihin nila, ito yung sulat ni Rizal, ito yung tulang ginawa ni Rizal. So you have to criticize that externally, no? You have to check the penmanship, the ink, no? The writings, the language being used, the paper being used, the quality of the ink, no, to check kung yun talaga yung original na ginawang tula ni Jose Rizal. So, the other one is internal criticism. When we say internal criticism, we are talking about the examination of the truthfulness of the evidence. So, we are looking on the content of the source and examines the circumstance of its production. So, when we say internal, yung content ang chine-check natin, yung katotohanan. Tama ba? So, ang internal, it is applicable for what? It is applicable for secondary sources. Tama ba yung nakalagay sa textbook? Baka naman mali, di ba? So again, we have two categories for references or historical sources. We have primary source or sources and secondary sources, and then we have two types of criticism also: external criticism and internal criticism. So that is the coverage of the chapter 1 in our subject readings in Philippine history, introduction to history, definition, issues and sources, and methodology. So I will be giving you a quiz, maybe dun sa scheduled na time niyo, or I will just announce that in our group chat, no? So expect niyo yung quiz ninyo. And then, advice ko lang is, basahin niyo yung material na in-upload ko sa Google Classroom natin. Huwag lang kayo magbase dito sa discussion na ginawa ko, but rather on the material I have uploaded on our Google Classroom. So, basahin ninyong mabuti ha. So, para wala magrereklamo, sir, bakit wala na, dun sa quiz, wala naman sa discussion mo yung ganitong bagay. Bakit kasama siya sa quiz? So, ngayon pa lang, nire-remind ko na kayo, basahing mabuti yung material, chapter 1 na in-upload ko. So, lahat dyan is, dyan kukunin lahat ng ibigay ko sa quiz. So, again, good day and thank you.